is getting to be an intractable issue here, and I'm just worrying if you have any insight into Theresa May's thinking and to why, at this point, she has not made any signals of an extension of the negotiations beyond March 29th.
I think that's purely tactical. Ultimately, everybody is assuming that if we don't get over the line by March the 29th, that we will find a way to extend. But she needs that deadline because that deadline is central to the whole strategy of trying to concentrate people's minds and trying bluntly to get people to stare down the barrel and to recognise that they need to make concessions. Some of that is a hope that on the European side that there may be concessions that will help her out. Some of it is for her own Conservative colleagues as well. The problem is, at the moment, there are really no signs that people are prepared to give ground in the way that she needs. So we are just stuck. And as you say, worried is probably the right place for all of us to be.
Yeah, in terms of giving ground, let's talk about the backstop, because according to EU officials, Theresa May asked the EU several times for a time limit on the backstop. Now, another person familiar with the UK side, this is what Bloomberg is reporting, say that May raised actually all three options, technological solutions, a time limit, but also a unilateral exit, and she didn't actually show any preference for any of the three. Which do you think is closer to May's thinking in terms of how she's going to negotiate or try to negotiate this backstop issue?
Well, to be honest, any one of them, if the European Union were to show an appetite to go down that route, would be enough for her to come back to Westminster and say to her Conservative colleagues, look, we're making progress, there is a way forward on the backstop. The problem is that each of those three issues has been debated over many, many months, has been considered as part of the negotiations, that she herself and her colleagues, principally Ollie Robbins, her chief negotiator, have discarded each one of them over time, and the European Union shows no appetite for going back and reopening something that they don't think is going to work, is going to solve the issue.
Simon?
I was looking at the political betting yesterday, and it showed that Jeremy Corbyn right now is actually the lead in political betting to be next Prime Minister. What's the risk post-March 29th of an election this year? And if we have that, what do you think reasonably are the risks that we could see a Labour-led coalition?
Well, one reason why Jeremy Corbyn would be the leading candidate is because we don't know who the Conservative candidate will be, because Theresa May has said that she won't be leading. If there was a front runner for the Tories, then it might be that they would still be out front of Jeremy Corbyn. There are basically two potential routes to a general election this year. One is that the paralysis in Westminster ultimately can only be unblocked by a general election. That might be that on the Conservative side, either Remainers see that we're about to tumble into no deal and they feel the only way of stopping that is to vote with Labour in a no-confidence vote, or equally that the hardcore Brexiteers feel that the deal that is being pursued, they just cannot accept. And again, they precipitate a general election. The other route, very different, is that Theresa May succeeds in getting a deal through and the Conservatives then decide that they are ripe for a reboot, probably a new leader, but actually a refresh and go back to the country. That actually does feel to me, if we can get over the line, to be a more plausible route to an election.
Geoff?
Will Parliament take control over the next few weeks?
Well, the government still holds the cards most of the time when it comes to the parliamentary and the legislative timetable, the things that MPs are voting on. But MPs have shown, and the Speaker critically has shown that he also would be willing to allow some very unusual, indeed unprecedented, turns of events. So on that basis, if Theresa May doesn't come back at the end of next week, as she has said that she will, and show substantial progress, then I think that she will be deeply worried that there are others who will seize the initiative from her. I'm not sure that she will get as far as she needs to by next week. She'll probably try and kick the can a bit further down the road.
But that may help her in focusing minds on the Brexiteer side as well, right?
Yes, ultimately, look, the plan could not be simpler. It is basically, let's get closer to the line and hope somebody else cracks. She is showing that steely resolve, if you like. I mean, the photograph that you show, the film that you saw of her and Jean-Claude Juncker, she was putting on a real hard sort of poker face. I think the mood music in Dublin today will be a bit different, but ultimately she is, that's the only card that she has to play at the moment, it seems.
Yeah. Simon, is there enough volatility in case table at the moment to signal that investors are getting worried enough about the prospect of a no deal at this point?
No. I think it's a simple answer to that. Look, if you look at where volatility in sterling is right now, in terms of realised volatility, it's pretty well and much at the average for the last 10 years. So we've got a pound that's moving around perfectly normally, but for normal circumstances, and these are not normal circumstances. To me, I think there is huge risk in either direction, either from the possibility of simply having no deal and possibly ending up with Remain, or there being no deal, and you get huge potential moves in either direction on the back of that. So, no, I don't think the market's pricing in appropriately. If anything, I think we tended to price things in the way we did in May and June of 2016 before the referendum.
Jeff, is the market pricing the Bank of England appropriately now after what we heard from Carney yesterday?
I think, through the currency and through various other metrics, yes, but it's quite asymmetric. Back to your point, why vol isn't high? Well, if you think of, implied vol as kind of the cost of insurance, why insure against something that you don't own, right? So I think, that's kind of the situation. Do people have limited, their exposure to sterling, to UK assets? So the intrinsic cost of insurance, on that portfolio is quite limited as well. Having said that, if there is a crash out, sure, there's going to be a spike in volatility. I just don't know how sustainable that's going to be.
Joey, where will we be 6 months from now?
Well, I think that, as we've been hearing from your other guests, I think there is a degree of complacency at the moment, and I think that people are assuming that it will be all right on the night. They are assuming that on a reasonable basis, that the politicians should want to do the right thing. They should not wish us to go down the route of no deal that they've all said that nobody is deeply unattractive for everybody. But
so what are your clients telling you? Are your clients actually giving a sense of complacency? What are the top questions?
Oh, well, certainly not. If I have anything to do with it, then I say that there are real reasons to be worried here. The problem is that the issue at the heart of it, the backstop, has been intractable for a long time. I don't really see why necessarily there should be that sudden breakthrough now. On that basis, I think that, it is very worrying, and I think that clients have been very generous. Business has been very generous to the government, to the European Union, in holding their tongue most of the time and crossing their fingers and hoping that it does come out all right. I think that things will get very noisy, understandably so, if we don't see progress pretty soon.